So yeah, I actually will provide judgment. I am judging y'all bitches that do that shit.
I love how I'm like combating everything that he's about. I'm like, well, we're not gonna be mean. We're not gonna. And he's like, no, bitch.
I think we should bully some things. Like sometimes bullying is okay. We need to get back to bullying some things.
Oh my god.
That's just my.
Hosts, we are your fairy buff mothers.
Wait, hold up.
Yeah, there we go. I'm Jules.
And I'm Con. And we have a fairy buff father in the house.
Yes,
we have a new guest today. We have a friend of the pod. His name is Jared.
Super cute.
Hi guys, happy to be here.
Yay, we're so grateful you're here. I love how basically my process of planning outlines is I'm like, all right, what the fuck is going on with me? What the fuck is going on with this guest? Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
And so I just like feel what is like currently going on within myself, and I'm like, okay, I feel like these are the topics that would be fitting to discuss with other people who I feel we could have like a good conversation
100%.
for. And I'm telling you, bitch, I'm like a motherfucking psychic, because that shit is always hitting.
Yeah.
Okay? Like, tell me how today I'm like picking up my friend who's like helping us film, and we're like, the topic is heartbreak, and she's like, no. It always hits for somebody.
100%.
Right?
So speaking of that, are we feeling mentally ill or mentally chill today? What's the vibe? I feel like I'm feeling like como te diste, like kind of like both. Like I feel like I'm very mentally.
I'm very mental. Period.
Like for period, but I feel like I know that it goes away and it's just a period of time because I've gone through this shit before. So it's like I'm feeling like both at this moment right now. What about you guys? How you guys feeling? Mentally ill or chill? What's the vibe?
I'm kind of on the page that you're on. Like I feel like I'm like struggling always, but like I'm like working on it. So like I feel like I'm just being intentional about it now. That's really the
intentional. That's like a cutie word.
I feel that my dream way of being, or like my idea of what life is that once you like discover or unhack something, that it's always gonna go well and it's always gonna be like rainbows and sunshine. And then like throughout my life, I've always had to like reel it back in and be like, no, like the actual normal process of living is experiencing both at the same time and knowing like how to deal with it. So like it's never going to always be chill, and it's never always gonna be like just like ill, you know? Like
Agreed.
There's always like something going on, whether you're good or not, because like life doesn't stop for you. You go with life, life doesn't go with you.
Preach.
And so like I feel that I'm the same. Like I don't actually feel really ill, because I do feel like I'm in a space right now where I'm excited to grow, and I'm excited for whatever is coming, whether it's good or bad. Like I feel like I finally just worked out my ill shit. And now I'm like, all right, Shadi's, we're a little chill today.
Exactly.
Yes.
Like for me, I've never been like on my own. So it's like for me to actually be just so in tune with myself and make new connections, whether it be friends or romantically, but not anytime soon. But it's like for me to really understand.
The application is closed.
It's closed right now, yeah. But it's like for me to understand myself fully now, it's like so heartwarming. It's like you know what you want, and it's like you don't settle for anything less.
Being intentional.
Yes. Period.
It's like my favorite buzzword.
Yeah.
Right
No,
Yes.
I tell myself every time before I do an action, I'm like, okay, like, am I being intentional?
Yes, exactly. I do the same thing even with the words that I say. I've said this before, but I don't compliment people that I don't mean. I don't say things that I don't mean, and I don't complain about things that I don't mean.
Okay, she brutally honest.
Like,
I'll tell you that much.
and like I have, but the thing is, I have a hard time voicing myself because of how I know I come off, and then I'm very sensitive to other people's sensitivity, so I know sometimes people can be sensitive of me.
Yeah.
So like
Khan is like a pit bull. Like you'll see them barking and you'll be like, nah, don't let your dog out.
but I'm a
You let her out.
cupcake at heart.
You let her out, and then she's like, so it's like that. Literally, that's like
Back
the
to
best
the
way.
cupcake.
Yeah.
Yes! I just want to be like, I want to be like a goth cupcake.
Ooh.
Like, I want to be like one of those like
That would be
Halloween cupcakes where you're decorating fake bloods on it.
That
Okay,
is so.
yeah.
That's the vibe.
cute.
I'm with it.
Right?
I love that a lot.
I know. Earlier we were like talking about, I don't know, Jared and Jules were having like some fucking conversation about their personalities or whatever, and then Jared just go, I would like to think I'm a cupcake on the outside, and I was like, I only want to address myself as a cupcake. Bitch. But we both just got back from vacation, which is why our recording schedule and uploading schedule was kind of messed up. So we're
Sorry
very
about
grateful that you guys are always sticking with us, are always catching up with us whenever we miss a day or whatever it is. You're very forgiving, and we appreciate your support throughout like our entire learning process, whether it be like us adjusting whatever it is that we need to do within our own lives to be able to do this better.
Feedback, the DMs, you guys reposting our Instagram posts, TikTok posts. It like literally makes my heart so
Yes, and speaking of that, if you guys are not watching on YouTube, please go over to YouTube at Mental Chillness.
You can see how
That is the
cute-
channel. Yes, you can see our faces, you can see our muscles, and you can see our guests too. And please leave like please subscribe if you'd like. Please share us. Please leave us a rating on whatever platform for podcasting that you use. It would just really help boost our show since we're still like a very small like community show. I would love to just be able to like spread the word, spread our words, spread our guest words, spread the word. By spreading the word, and this is like my full intention of this podcast, by spreading the word, you're making people feel less lonely and you're making people feel more related and more relatable because you're sharing experiences in your own life. And I think that that's the one thing that's like extremely important, because going along with the topics that we're going to talk about today, I recently just like caught up with my cousin, my little cousin, who I haven't seen in over like 10 years. And just by talking to him, he was just basically like, thank you so much for like having this conversation with me. Like expressing how he just felt really like related and how like seen. And it just like reminded me again of why we do the podcast, is because like by speaking things out loud, by discussing things that were never like taught when we were growing up and all of that shit, just by like actually regulating our emotions, by not bottling it in, other people can feel so not alone. Like I remember like my comfort zone was always like YouTube and Tumblr, and the reason why both are the same is because YouTube is like I'm literally finding personalities that I like, and then Tumblr is like this weird fucking online space where all the fucking weirdos come together, and we're just like, we share one brain cell and we share one personality.
Yeah.
And it's like the best, but it's because of the relating aspect of like feeling like you're connected to people who are like on a screen. But that's the power of people and power of the influence of people, which is why it's very cool. I don't even
And
know
the
how to
power of
start talking about it.
conversation.
Yeah!
And uncomfortable conversation.
Exactly. Speaking of uncomfortable conversations, baby, we're gonna have a lot of that today.
It's gonna get a little hot in here.
Well, okay, the reason why I thought of this like topic and whatever it is because I know this is a feeling that everybody can relate to. The feeling of thinking that you're over something and then tripping up over it again and then wondering what the fuck just happened, right? Tell me how, bitch. So I'm on like fucking vacation. I'm like chilling, I'm having a great ass time. All of a sudden, one day, I start thinking about like a person in the past, like a lot, right? And then I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why am I thinking about them? And then I started thinking about them and their new partner, right? A lot. And then I was like, what the fuck is going on right now? Like, I'm having a great ass time. I don't even give a fuck about this person, but why is it coming up in my mind, right? And then I spent some time dissecting it for myself, right? And I actually wrote it in my notes. I was like, okay, I'm having a tough time right now because I'm really getting tripped up over the fact that I still feel some type of pain or I still feel something when I think about this person. And this is like literally what I wrote in my journal. I was like, when I think about this person and their new partner, I don't envy them. I'm not jealous. I don't want what they have. And I like, there's no feelings of ill that I'm wishing on them. If anything, I wish them well. I wish they're happy. I want them to like, you know, whatever it is. Well, I don't like to wish people like whatever.
There's two type of people on the spectrum.
A little bit of my Scorpio placements jumped out for a second, so sorry.
It's alright, we love it. but basically like the idea is that I feel nothing that is like harmful or ill about this person, their new partner, and all of that shit, but why am I still feeling anything at all when I think about this person? And then I finally worked it out, and I have this habit of not giving myself enough time to process things, right? I would think that I'm over something, and then it like something will come up and it brings me right back to that place, and then I'm like, oh, but I thought I worked it out. But if I really go deeper, I really didn't work it out, right? And this is my thought process. I was like breaking down this person and why thinking about them was bringing me any kind of hard feelings. And then I was like, oh, it's because I never ever worked it out within myself what actually hurt me from that relationship, right? And what actually hurt me is that I don't understand, well, I do understand, speaking of intention, I understand that I'm a very intentional person, and I understand that I can't expect myself in everybody, and I understand that I will still come across people who will just use my presence and whatever it is as like a transaction and then move on from there. And those things hurt me because I don't do that to people in my life. But when I do encounter somebody that does that, it's almost like I'm repeating a lesson of learning, like how to stand firm on my beliefs, which is that I'm over this thing and I'm done, right? So I had to work it out within myself that I was like, when I was with this person, I was giving away a really vulnerable part of myself, which is that I allowed this person to hold me, and I allowed myself to express my love for this person, and then I allowed this person to express their love back to me when they didn't really mean it, but in the moment I took it as, I'm sharing my true feelings with you, so you must be sharing your true feelings with me, right? And then a month later, whatever, everything goes to shit without me being even included in the conversation of we're done with this. Right? Like the person just moved on, went on to the next relationship, and I was like, I literally just like opened myself up to you, and I don't do that to anybody at all. I haven't done that in like 3 years. So this like most like recent situation that I just went through, I haven't done that shit in like 3 years. So I was just like allowing myself the grace to feel like I'm in pain, allowing myself the grace of knowing that I have the right to feel the pain, because what that was, we shouldn't take that lightly. The fact that we're being vulnerable, the fact that we're opening up, the fact that like, you know, we're sharing space and feelings and whatever, and you just went and you ripped that apart from me, and I tried to move on from it fast so that I wouldn't think about it. But what I didn't do is that allow myself the grace to, hey, you have the right to feel this pain. Hey, that was a really shitty part. Hey, like, you need the time. Like, and that's why I was like, why the fuck do I keep feeling pain when I think about this person, even though I have no envy or like jealous or like, you know, whatever it is. And it's because I never let myself feel the pain. I was just like going through it, and I was just like, no, like, it's okay to be sad. It's okay to be the one that got hurt. It's also okay to be the one that did the hurting, as long as you learn from it. But all of these things are like, it's a part of a grieving process. And what I didn't do is allow myself the time to grieve. And so that's why now I'm like, like, what is actually fucking going on? But then I was like, let's see who else is feeling this pain. So that's why I'm bringing it to you.
God, this is like such a fun topic.
I feel like everyone goes through it though.
You go first.
Okay.
Let's talk about you.
Me, okay. So I think it's so ironic. Like everything that you're saying is exact experience I went through probably like a week ago. So I'm gonna share a little story.
Yeah.
So this little fun story. And hopefully the people who this is in this story do not watch this or listen because that would be so embarrassing. But, so, do you guys know when you date, you like, I don't know if you guys do this, but like, when I previously was dating, so now I'm in a mental space where I'm like, I can't date, like I really need to like be, again, intentional and give myself that grieving space that you're sort of talking about before I can like even introduce myself to like someone new and like be like my full version of myself, you know what I mean? So just giving that as a disclaimer, but like last year I was dating and I had a dating roster. I don't know if you guys do this, but do you guys like match with like 5 people and you're like, all right, I'm gonna do like process of elimination and I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna go on a date with you, didn't work out with you, on to the next. Right?
I don't do that, but all of my friends do it, so I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so that's basically what I was doing because when you're on like dating apps, like it's just, there's so many people to choose from and like me as someone who wants to get to know somebody like authentically, I'm like, well, I'm gonna give each person a real authentic chance to see if we have compatibility, if I like personality, you know, et cetera, et cetera. Well, I went through the list and there was one that was remaining that like, you know, the couple of the other people that I went on a date with, so it didn't work out. So I was like, okay, and then there was one that was left over that I like told I would
Slip through the cracks.
Slip through the cracks. And I was like, shit, like I need to go on a fucking date with this person because I already told them I would. And I'm a man of my word, okay? So I was like, all right. So literally 5 minutes before going into this date, my fucking ex posts a photo of him wearing a cat shirt and he's like, I need more cats. And I'm like, well, first of all, I'm like, we had cats together and maybe if you weren't such a piece of shit, like we would be married and you would have cats. So how dare you? So like I'm
You could be a cat dad right now.
I feel
I'm
that.
like, if you weren't such an idiot, like you had that. So why are you selling this vision of yourself that is not real to your hoes on social media that do not know the real version of you? Because I know the real version of you, but they don't, right? So anyways, that's the tea with that. I was literally on the phone with Stephanie just like screaming, and this is 5 minutes before my date, by the way. So I'm like, okay, like am I gonna go in? Like I'm gonna cancel. So I was like, no, like that would be like rude. So I go in, actually I end up having like a good day, whatever, that's fine. But like that was like such a triggering experience for me where like I thought I was over that. And then there I am, one post on social media from my ex, and there I am screaming at the top of my lungs in my SUV in my car before I go on a date. Like that's that sort of moment that like I relate to you with that, where I was just like, I don't envy this person. I don't want to be with this person.
And I think
why am I so upset?
Because you know why? Because half of the time, and this is like really relevant to myself personally, because I think this is how I process things, but half of the time it has nothing to do with that person because it's not the person itself. It's the action or whatever it is that you felt like you were unheard and unseen for.
It's the emotion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like that's what I was talking about when I was like, oh, like I have to literally work this out within myself of why this moment hurt me, what about it hurt me, and what am I carrying on from our experience together that I'm still like dealing with the pain with. And that's like exactly what, because you don't want to get back with your ex and you don't want to have cats with your ex, but it's triggering that like he wasn't providing you with things that you wanted and now he's putting it out like he didn't have it.
Right.
So it's like not the person at all.
No.
Like, because you ain't shit, sir.
See.
The last.
Yeah, so like it was just really reflective of like, okay, like I think a lot of times when we feel unseen or unheard is when we feel anger.
Yeah.
And anger is a secondary emotion. It's always something that is guised by like something that's underneath it. And that's typically usually feeling unheard and unseen. And I think like when it comes to closure, a lot of people go about it in 2 different ways. I think some people feel the need that they have to speak to that person. I argue the best closure that you're ever going to get is with yourself. Like to your point, like you really need to sit with yourself, make peace with yourself, because there is no answer in the world that someone else is going to give you that is ever going to make you feel better, right? So in my opinion, it's just like you got to feel it through, you got to get through that the grieving process, and then
Well, like it's very situational, right? Because if you were in a situation with someone to where you feel that you can trust. Like, if you feel that you can trust that, like, what you're trying to get across is going to be heard and it's gonna, whatever.
Absolutely.
Like, if you are in that situation, of course, speaking it out would be the best thing. And there are people that feels better when they release or whatever the fuck it is, right? Different people process things differently. But what you're talking about, I think, applies to the widest of like ways to get closure, because imagine if the closure you're trying to get is like the person's no longer here, the person is your fucking parent who's whatever. Like there are sometimes you just have to heal things within like yourself.
Yeah. And I feel like for me, if we're still talking about exes, because you know, I feel like just like you guys all say, there's no envy, no anger, no none of that. So I tried to be their friend. And I don't.
Bold of you.
You know what I mean? So then
I'm like,
I feel like
are you all your family?
Listen,
Bye.
here's my thing. I'm such a people pleaser that I'm like, anything to, I will be uncomfortable for people pleasing. Like, it's so crazy the things I used to do. Thank you. Not
So you're
anymore.
saying you sacrifice your comfort for the sake of
Yeah,
someone
like
else?
I would always say, oh, but you know, I would love to be friends, and like, and I'm thinking about it, I'm like, we used to lick each other's coochies. Like, what are we talking about? Like,
Right.
how am I gonna be able to sit in a restaurant and eat this pasta when I used to eat you? Like, how?
Oh my god.
Do you get it? So
That's
I
tea.
feel like.
I don't get people that are able to do that. Like, I'm personally not able to, like...
Unless it was like a more like you guys were just talking and then it stopped.
Right.
You just weren't for each other. Compatibility, I get it. But if you guys were like madly in love, I feel like for me, I don't think I could do it. Like, and before I would always try to convince myself and like make this narrative of like, yes, you can. Like, you're a good person. She's a good person. Like, but that don't mean we have to be friends, sis.
Exactly.
Agreed, T,
Like,
yeah.
like we just
We
gotta,
don't have
like,
to be friends. We do not.
But when we see each other, we don't hate each other. It's not like bad blood.
There's a
and-
difference of being, like, neutral and being, like...
That's what it
just
is.
like,
So I feel like
you know...
There's also no need to force it either, because it doesn't say anything about who you are as a person, what you decide to do after the relationship is done.
Yeah.
Whatever you do in that time should be benefiting to your health. And so if that means if it's not within my boundary to be friends, then I'm not going to extend that boundaries towards you either.
Agreed.
Yes,
Like,
sir.
you're not.
But then here's the thing. I'm such a people pleaser that in the moment I'm like, damn. But then they're offended that I don't want to be their friend. And
Okay, so then be
I wonder
offended,
is there-
bitch.
You know what I
No,
mean? Like,
see, no,
but
like,
the thing is,
let
I
me
have
speak
to.
on it.
Okay, I'm getting through it now. I know now. But in the beginning, it was hard. Heartbreak is so weird and so uncomfortable, and
I had
I
this.
feel like
I had this little like conversation with a coworker of mine yesterday, and my other coworkers were going in at the same point, and I think this relates to what you're feeling, because there's a point of feeling things for someone, like being sympathetic and empathetic for someone, and then there's another point of letting that situation absorb you, even if you can't do anything about it, right? So like you feeling bad about other people feeling bad that you don't want to be their friends, you can feel the compassion of, oh, I understand that it might be uncomfortable for you to experiencing somebody saying they don't want to be your friend. But then there's like, you can do that, which is like you're standing on your compassion for that person, and then you can be absorbed in it, which is, oh, so now I'm gonna compensate myself so that you don't feel bad. You know what I'm saying?
For sure,
like,
yeah.
there's a difference between you can feel all your emotions and then, you know, but you don't have to act out on all of the emotions. You're feeling bad for somebody that is like having an allergic reaction, but then you crying about their allergic reaction doesn't help your
Yeah.
allergic
Right.
reaction.
Yeah, for sure.
Now you're making it about you feeling bad about somebody else.
Right.
Now you're making you know what I'm saying? It all goes back to like being conscious of like your ego, like
yeah.
Your boundaries.
your
Exactly.
boundaries, like
And
everything.
I think for you, it's like you let go of your boundaries for the sake of someone else.
Yeah.
And I think like as hard as it is, because like something I struggle with so bad is like when I connect with somebody, like I just like want to be the best I can be to them. And so like even when they're the toxic one in situations, it's hard for me to like understand that like I need to be stricter with my boundaries to protect myself, because then at that point I'm letting someone else like alter my mindset or like change or influence my decision making. And like at the end of the day, like there's no value to me, and like that's usually a question I ask myself, like, is doing this going to provide value to me?
Yes,
And
exactly.
if I can't answer that confidently, then I'm like, no, I need to keep this boundary pretty tight and be like, hey, like, you know, like as much as like, you know, you want to be friends with me, I don't think that's good for me, and I don't think that we could have a productive relationship. So
Yeah.
at that point, I think like we should just do whatever works best for the two of us,
Exactly.
which for me usually is just like keeping a distance, being neutral. Like, you're not my enemy now. Like you're not my op. Like you know what I'm saying?
The
Well,
opposite
a
of
couple
love
of
is
you are
not
ops. Let me
being
tell you, a
different.
couple of you are ops.
For
Let me
sure.
tell you.
For
Like,
sure.
Are you watching right
yeah,
now?
a couple of you. a couple of you have done me real dirty.
Yeah.
But there's been some times where like I've like met like a cool guy and like been like, wow, he's such a nice guy, but like I don't see any value in being friends with you because I have great friends.
Yeah.
And you were trying to occupy the space of a lover.
You
weren't coming into this like
Exactly.
you weren't coming into this interviewing as like a friend. You were coming into this interviewing as a romantic partner. And those
Exactly.
spaces are different.
So
Exactly.
different. I'm so grateful for all of and that's why I feel like right now being alone and just being able to actually spend quality time with my friends and be with myself, and I'm practicing celibacy. It's been 4 months, thank you. But it's honestly, it's just so, every time I'm near my friends, it's like such a reminder that like being alone isn't bad. Like it's not as everybody makes it seem so scary and so like, oh my god, oh, you don't have a partner? Like,
yeah.
But you have to be able to, like, okay, first of all, I want to put this as like huge disclaimer that like, please understand that everything that we're saying is coming from a place of experience, and so you need to remember that you are in your 20s or whatever the age that you are at watching this right now. You need to remember that like life experiences is the thing that teaches you like values and actions and all of that shit, right? So what we're saying is from what we've been through, but I want you to understand that it's so normal. It's so fucking normal to go through all of this shit. It's so fucking normal to not know how to filter people. It's so fucking normal to whatever, because these are not the skills that you were brought up with. The skills that you were brought up with were like, in most cases, and depending on your culture, your family, your situation, is that you need to make friends, make network, and all of these different things, right? But what they don't tell you is that like that's not what you want. What you want is genuine, true friendship and connection. What you don't want is like using people as transactions. And so like
Too many people do that.
Exactly.
Way too
And
many
so
people.
everything that like I just want you to know that like as you're hearing this right now, we're reflecting on how we have grown. But if you're in a different place, you need to remember that it's very normal. And it's okay to feel what you're feeling, and your 20s and your 30s even, it's supposed to be for figuring it out. Cause like, I feel like people would always like be scared to turn 30 or whatever the fuck, but like as I'm growing older, I realize that like, I'm so excited to grow older because if I'm 24 right now and I have taken all of my life experiences and turned it into the core of my being and I have grown from there, imagine where I would be at fucking 34. You know what I'm saying? And so I just want to put that, keep reminding people that, exactly, like that you are where you're supposed to be. You're feeling everything you're supposed to be, whether it's good or bad, because even if it's bad, that's how you're supposed to learn and grow from it, right? So like, just wanted to remind you that it's okay. It's okay to feel like shit.
A little disclaimer. And not only that, I feel like growing up, one sentence that I feel like I'm so traumatized by is don't cry. Oh, don't cry. There's no need to cry. And I felt like crying was a bad thing. I could literally cry right now, I feel like. I probably could.
Party.
Like, I really could. So it's like, I feel like, bitch, if you gotta cry, please cry. I don't care if you're on your way
but it's not even just crying. Whatever feeling that you're feeling, process them. As I'm in a place of healing right now and learning, because I'm never gonna be done learning. I have learned to allow myself to feel, right? So I'm having a great ass day. I'm doing great. I'm running through the list of shit in my head and I'm like, everybody is check. Nothing is wrong. But if I happen to just feel sad, I don't fucking go into a spiral, or nor do I ignore it anymore. I just allow myself to feel sad. For a moment in time, I'm like, okay, this is what I'm feeling right now. I understand it has nothing to do with anything that's actually going on, but maybe there's some chemical imbalances in me. Maybe my guts is trying to tell me something. Maybe my body is processing past traumas. Whatever it is that I can't think of right now, I am giving it the freedom and time and space to feel. And then we can move on from there. Because I was the same when I was younger. I was such a little fucking bitch, man. I was such a fucking pussy. Like, and now I'm like, no wonder why I always make fun of you, because you were such a fucking pussy. You cried for everything. And not that crying for everything was the bad thing, but because I was like that, I was always made to feel bad. I was always made to feel like a little bitch. I was always made to be like, and that's why do you think I hold such a tough like exterior now? Because I am a cupcake on the inside, bitch. But I can't, because all of my life I've been like beaten up because of it. But now I feel that that's a lesson that we're all learning as we're growing, is that it's okay to be sensitive, and if anything, you should and need to be sensitive. I would rather be sensitive than not feel anything at all.
I blame misogyny and patriarchy.
Absolutely!
Like that's like absolutely where all of these like social constructs like come from. Like when you think about it, like
Yeah.
crying, emotions, typically and historically known for as being traits that describe femininity, right?
Yeah, and like not seen as a weakness.
Correct.
And, like
So
bullshit.
Yeah.
it's really just unlearning also all of the social values that like you've been taught as well.
Exactly.
And it's really interesting hearing from both your experiences because typically with like women, like I don't necessarily expect them to have had like such challenges with like expressing emotion because typically women are indoctrinated to like express emotion and it's okay for them. As a boy growing up, very like weird and opposite from that where like being a boy, like you are super, super hyper masculine and you're like conditioned to be that sort of way. No crying, like nothing like that. And I think it becomes even more difficult when you add like more layers to it, like queerness and things like that.
I just wanted to ask, is it weird to grow up being taught boy values and then your family seeing and accepting that you're gay? So does that change the values that they try to instill in you, or do they still treat you as like, no, be a hard man?
Or do they have like expectations?
So I feel like that has to do with the different perception of how everyone views queerness, right? So you have the people who know the Hallmark version of it, right? The GBF, right? That there's the stereotypical way to be gay and what that looks like, how they act, that like hyper feminine sort of like personality. However, I think it's definitely
a full spectrum.
It's a full spectrum.
Yeah.
I think people in our generation nail that much better than like maybe older audiences. Like when you speak of family, I'm thinking like older generations.
Yeah.
So I still have challenges in day to day with like just like expressing queerness and like it being valid, right? But especially amongst like family members, like I think they all have this idea that being gay is like, for a male, it's like that like guy's wearing a leotard and he's like wearing bright feathers and you're like, and then I walk in the room and I'm like covered in black and everyone's like, are you sure you're like queer? Like, you know,
I don't.
like you're not.
I don't see.
Yeah, like you're not giving Regina George, and I'm like, well, no, like
Regina George, no, you didn't.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I'm so tired of like every like white gay and they're like late 20s, like just being like mean, and it's just like you're not Regina George, you're just George, right?
Yeah.
So like. Let's like pack that up.
And what's with the meanness? Like, why are we so catty? Like, why are we so, you know?
Yes. Like, be nice to people. It's okay to be nice to people. And
but then also, I can also empathize and share compassion on why you're so mean. It's probably because you were treated like that your whole life and whatever. But your own part in this is being able to work that out and treat people better.
Right.
And speaking of patriarchy, I recently learned a fun fact. I went to California and we were like sitting there with me, my mom, my girl cousins, my sister, my fucking aunts, and all of that shit, right? And like they're like talking about apparently, and I know when I say that like shit gets passed down, like bro, this solidified why I feel the way that I feel about men, why I cannot explain my ick of like being perceived and like treated and whatever, and why I try to like hold myself in a space where no one can fuck with me, especially men, right? And this really solidified my train of thoughts. My fucking whole family, lots of women, and most of them, besides my mom got married the latest at 28. Most of my aunts were already married before 20 or by 20 or by 21. My grandma was probably married by like 14, 15. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. And this is in a different time, but all of my aunts and my mom was always talking about how they're so scared of my grandpa. And my aunt said this one thing that I was like, interesting. She said, when I was younger, I was really scared to get married and I really didn't want to get married and I only did it because of my dad, which is my grandpa. That's the same story for all of my aunts, even my mom. All of my mom's story is like, everything I did and how I behave and all of that is because we were so scared of my dad. That's my grandpa. And then my grandma apparently told my aunt and my mom that if it wasn't for my grandpa and if she could have what she wanted, she would just live in the house with the girls forever and they wouldn't ever have to get married and it would just be them and it would just be fine like that. And so it's like, it showed me that like, that's my whole being. That's literally my entire being. And I am the fruit of all of their bottled up emotions and expressions and all of that shit. Because even if my grandma said that shit, bitch.
That was so heavy.
Yeah.
Even you just saying that, like, I felt that.
Now I understand why I am the way that I am.
The pressure to break that generational trauma.
Exactly.
Right.
All of it. Even with my dad. Even on my dad. My dad is the oldest of 7, and he's like me. So he's like the black sheep of the family. He's always done his own thing, whatever. There was a period of time where he left his house, where he left everyone. He went, and this was all in Vietnam, but he left everybody. He went and did his own shit, and then he came back, right? But the one thing he said to me was that I'm so glad that like I never did anything bad, and none of it ever actually interested me. I never wanted to do drugs or do crimes or all of this shit. All I ever wanted to do was be free. And I'm like, who does that fucking remind you of, sir? Like,
you're like,
hello? Like, all I ever want to do is be free. I never wanted to do drugs. I still don't do drugs. I don't do anything bad, but I want the freedom and ability to do things on my own. And so I literally took that from my dad, and I'm literally like, out of all of our cousins, I am like now like the black sheep or whatever the fuck it is, but like now I understand why I'm like that. Yeah. It's because it's passed on and on and on and on and on, and it just so happened to stop at me where I'm like, no, bitch, like, no. But yeah, like I just thought that was so interesting, and now it changed my mind about my whole family, about like the women in my family, and now I'm like, I want to be this so bad so that I can be able to embody all that you wanted to do and all that you wanted to be. So I was interested in knowing what are the actual like ideas and train of thoughts relating to like marriages, relationship, partnership, all of this shit that you like really had to like unlearn as an adult, or like things that you thought you wanted. Even marriage, I was engaged and now I'm like, bitch.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I was in a 6-year relationship, so quite a long time. But I think a lot of the things that I had to unlearn was just the perception of heteronormativity, like especially like understanding like how the queer experience is just inherently always going to be different than my counterparts who have like straight experiences. Like they try their best to relate to things, but there's just experiences that are just so unique to queer culture that they'll never be able to like fully relate to. That was hard, and it's really isolating, I think, like for a lot of queer people, because we try to feel heard, and that's why I think this podcast is like really great, because there is empowerment to feeling like you can relate to something. Mm-hmm. Like when I scroll through TikTok, a lot of my For You page is just queer people just talking about their experiences, and that's a very curated algorithm to get me information that I need. And for me, it's really healthy, because I'm like, at the end of it, like I'll watch a TikTok and I'll be like, wow, like someone else is experiencing this, and like almost like vicariously, like we can support each other.
Yeah, that's
you know what I mean?
That's the beauty of online spaces.
Yes, like
besides the dark web.
Right. Like there's definitely a toxic side, and there's always a pro and a con with everything, right?
Yeah. I feel like for me, unlearning was just expectations. I feel like you grow up and you see like this cookie cutter family and the mom and the son.
What's like some hardcore expectations that you're like, oh fuck, I don't think I actually want that?
Marriage.
Like
and don't get me wrong, I'm still gonna have the party. Everybody's invited. But
Jules starts throwing fucking parties for her wedding, but never has a wedding.
No, because
that's like the most Aries response ever. I'm just gonna say that.
Because it's like I don't need a piece of paper. Yeah, I don't need the piece of paper to know that I want to be with you for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? And it's just like, why spend all that money?
Do you think marriage is more than just like a social contract? Like it's also like...
I think it's just social. I think in mind, body, spiritually, if you guys are connected, you guys will always be connected and feel... as a kid, I think it's just the party that I crave. Well, and it was just like the expectation. And
I think that an idea that I think is like very similar for most people is that you grow up thinking that marriage is like this fantasy of relationship or like the epitome of things working out and whatever. But what people don't teach you and what you don't know until you are growing up is that marriage started as an actual social contract. Marriage is a partnership.
And financial.
Exactly. Marriage is literally, and if you think about it, people used to literally give their daughters away so that they can financially be supported. Or
Have you seen Little Women? Not to
yes.
interrupt you. So you know Flo Pugh's monologue where Timothy Chalamet's character she's like painting. She has this whole monologue, and that's like it's encompassing like everything that you're saying. Where she's like, well, maybe for you can marry for love, but for me, I marry for finances.
Exactly, because
women
that's how it started.
Yeah.
And so I think that a lot of young people, they don't think about that aspect because marriage has been sold to you as like this different thing, this magical fucking partnership. But what marriage actually is like, it's literally just solidifying what you already have, which is that you're supposed to have already worked all of this shit out before you get into the contract. And so when things like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%.
And so like, it's like breaking that fantasy of like, oh, marriage is this and that. But no, like, when you think about it, marriage is just like a higher level of partnership.
Exactly.
And every partnership needs a foundation. And if you don't have that foundation, slapping the title on it is not gonna fucking...
Exactly. Like, that's why I feel like right now, being alone, I'm so happy. I'm practicing my individualism and learning how to separate the two in togetherness and separateness, I guess, in a sense. And I feel like I know what I want. And before I didn't, and before I would be like, tell me what I want. Oh, but you tell me. You're supposed to tell me how I'm feeling. What? Like, it just didn't, the math wasn't mathing. So right now I'm just, it's like, it's so clear. It's like crystal clear. And I'm only 24. I cannot wait to be dirty 30.
Oh, not dirty 30.
Yes, ma'am.
No, but I also had a change of mind. Like, my mind completely changed about children too. Having kids.
Oh.
Because when I was younger, I wanted like a family of 5.
Oh, period.
I wanted like such a big family.
I
like,
still want a big family.
Right? But the thing is, I learned very quickly why and like whatever. And so I worked it out. I was like, okay, I really only wanted to have children because I wanted to make up for the relationship that I never had with my parents. I wanted to raise a family how I thought I should have been raised. I wanted to have the connection that I never had with my parents. And that's why I wanted a big family. Then I got engaged. Then I started actually thinking about how serious everything is. Then I started working on myself, and then I worked it out that I was like, oh fuck, if I really actually think about it, I can work on myself and heal all of these things that I thought I needed from a family with children. I can heal all of that on my own right now. Now, if I actually sit down and think about children, I don't think about like making up for the connection and whatever I was lacking. Now I think of it in a sense of, one, do I actually want to birth this child? Do I actually want to go through this physical labor of, fuck no, bitch, my fucking pussy, and bitch, are you kidding? Are you kidding?
Stop, everybody look at me.
Listen, it's a beautiful process, and I admire all mothers on this earth, okay? But this is why there is no, bitch.
I'm pregnant.
I'd be fucking like still squatting, like fucking 235. I will be popping my baby out on the squat rack, okay? I'll just be like, could you imagine? No, but fucking, I finally like understood. I was like, I do not want to put myself through this physical labor that only girls have to think about. That's one thing, right? And so I admire all women who has the fucking inclination to want to be a mother, to want to birth, to want to all of these different things.
Procreate.
Yeah, fuck yeah. I admire that so much, but I quickly realized that within myself that I'm like,
I'm happy you did that because I feel like a lot of people have kids in order
no,
to
and not think
fix
about it.
And not think about it, but I feel like they also have kids to fix the things about themselves.
Yes.
Right? So like children are almost like a scapegoat.
Yes.
Of like they can now take their problems and then put them onto their child.
And that's how you have narcissistic parents.
Correct.
And I heard this one time that
That's how
it
you
never
get
left
the
me.
traits too.
Yeah, and
I'm not even gonna lie. I have some narcissistic traits, and I'm like, oh my god.
No, but
even
it's not.
intentional.
But it's not that. It's that the fact that parenting itself is very narcissistic. Because what are you doing? You're choosing to recreate. And what are you trying to recreate? Yourself.
Right.
Because you're implementing your own values, your own everything into this fucking small child, and then you get fucking upset that the small child is growing up with its own brain and it's like steering away from you when, okay, there are people who have really good
That's
families
actually really
and stay
funny.
with their families
Right.
and blah, 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 blah. There are people who grow up and they have to steer from their family in order to save themselves, right?
Yep.
But as a parent, you cannot fucking blame the fucking child when you made the choice to birth in the first place.
Yep.
So wouldn't it be in the fucking packages that is like, hey, a part of having a child is that you will have to fucking deal with it not working out the way that you exactly planned
Right.
it. You know what I'm saying? And that's where like a lot of parents and like that's where a lot of parents like go into this like whole I don't even know my kids because my kids don't even be themselves around me because I am trying to be one way and they're trying to be one way but I can't accept their way. Blah 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? Like it just brings so much more hurt into the world.
Yeah.
Like and like besides physical labor, that's another part of why I started reevaluating children is because I'm like I fully understand sorry that within myself I feel like I need to give all of this time to myself. I need to be able to develop myself, my foundation, and my core being of a human before I'm confident enough to raise something else.
Right.
Right? Like, and don't get me wrong, a lot of people that have children unintentionally become the best parents because obviously having that kind of responsibility and role in life makes you into a different person. Obviously, that's a process that I cannot speak on because I don't have any children, but I see it in people to where they do change positively, to where they do get their shit together and whatever because of the child.
Excuse me.
And a lot of people say that your children makes you grow up and, you know?
But I hate that at the same time because then you place the responsibility of children to be rehabilitation centers for
Mhm.
adults who should have worked their own shit out.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's no one's responsibility for you to be their rehabilitation center.
Exactly.
Not your boyfriend, not your mom, not your dad.
Not even your friends,
Not even
bro.
your friends.
Like-
Like, you're not responsible for being anyone's therapist, right? And helping them see the light. Like, I think that's a lot of things, like, a lot of times that's when people have, like, really abusive relationships with their parents, and then they see later on, I mean, I can speak of that, like, I did not have a good relationship with my parents, but then my parents had a couple kids, and then now all of a sudden they're this completely different person, because, you know, there's things that change when you have
Yeah.
kids and change in mindset, and that's all fine and dandy, but it was like...
It's not all fine and
Oh, it's all fine and dandy,
but
I guess my trauma was fine and dandy too,
Yeah.
right? No, it fucking wasn't,
Yeah.
like every
That's so funny.
couple therapy sessions later. But the point is like yeah, like it's like I hate that people do that to people because you need to work on your own shit before you like try putting it onto anybody else.
exactly. But that's a huge like lesson to be like passed down again and again and again. But it needs to be passed down in all different aspects. It's the reason why therapy exists and why it's so helpful is because again I've said this before. Your friends don't have the skill set, nor do they have the responsibility to help you efficiently. You know what I'm saying? All they're there is to be there for your friend. So they're gonna react and they're gonna handle shit that you tell them however they do, but it's like never going to be as effective as you want because they're always going to have a bias towards whatever, right? And again, it's because they don't have the responsibility to fucking cater to your brain or whatever. A therapist, however, you're literally paying for this
Yeah.
session, right? And I feel like a lot of people not confused, but a lot of people mix up like the views of therapy, right? Like, no, I don't want to go talk to a stranger, blah, 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 blah. But like, you're not seeing the whole point of therapy. The whole point of therapy is that you are given a safe space to talk.
Right.
And then someone is giving you constructive, like, feedback.
Right.
Instead of you going to your friends. Most of the time, you don't even ask your friends what kind of headspace they're in and if they have space for your shit.
Right.
You just dump. And then if that friend happened to react in a way where you don't like, now you have a problem with that friend. When it actually
But
started
then
with
you
you
don't
not...
know if your friend woke up on the wrong side of the
Right.
bed,
But that's
stubbed
exactly.
her toe, walked outside, it started raining on her.
Did this
No.
happen to you?
Maybe.
Okay.
I think I just remembered this point,
Personal
but
experience.
Yeah, I'm like sounds a little specific.
He's like, not the toe.
she's like,
Yeah.
I'm traumatized.
You're like, it was 73 degrees out, it was
No,
like a sunny
literally.
day, like my toe is chipped, like
yeah,
what?
no,
Like,
literally.
That's so funny. No, but There's a point that I just remembered that I think is really important. Before you go to anyone, and before you start dumping on anyone, whether it be your mother, whether it be your friends, whether it be your partner, all of this different shit, before you go and do that to anyone, you should have an intention of why you want to vent. You should go to that person and ask them, 1, do you have space for me? And 2, I just want this. And this being whether it needs to be feedback, whether it needs you listening to me with saying nothing back at all, whether it be please listen to me and tell me what to do, you need to be clear on what you want from this person and then proceed from there. Because if not, you're just dumping and this person
Everybody
is
needs
having
to
a
know
reaction
this.
to you.
Like,
Yeah,
everybody
exactly.
needs
For
to know
any
this.
situation
My
at
relationships
all.
have changed so much for the better once I started like asking my friends like, do you want advice or do you just want me to listen?
Exactly.
Right? Like a simple question.
Exactly.
Because then people get upset because you provided opinion when they were just looking to ramble.
Yeah.
And without that clear intention and direction, it makes it really sloppy. And then at the end of the day, everyone ends up pissed off at each other.
And in some cases, you feel unheard of because you just tried to help your friend and they just didn't listen at all. And so now you feel like a piece of shit because they're being a piece of shit to you. But at the end of the day, you didn't ask them if that's what they wanted or not. You just proceeded on with your actions. And so all of it goes back to intention.
Exactly.
Intention. I do. What's going on, bro?
I don't know.
Did you sleep?
I did.
We didn't even smoke, dog.
I smoked.
Oh, I'm sorry. We didn't even smoke,
I'm
dog.
literally so high right now. Mind your business. I'm
Aw.
sorry I'm yawning. I can't help it.
Something that I do want to ask, and I feel like everyone has a different answer for this, but I feel like because we are in an age of everything being super exposed and social media being like the main thing that we express and connect by, what are your thoughts on keeping things like together and separate, right? How much you post on social media, if you post your partner or not, if you post what you post because of your job or because of whatever. Like, what are your intentions with using social media with different aspects of your life? Like, how are you going about it?
Yeah, I think like for like it depends on what your career is. Like I'm in marketing, I have to keep like a certain like presentation of myself like on social media that maybe isn't as expressive as it could
Yes.
be to maintain face. And I think a lot of people who are in marketing or like creative related roles like social media, that their social media has almost become their like business portfolios to
Yeah.
a sense. So like you do have to regulate it and like put on a certain perception that like would make you marketable from like a professional perspective.
Yeah.
But I think like separately from that, like on a relationship perspective, I think like for me, I'm a very private person. Like I think like my rule of thumb is like I probably wouldn't post someone I'm dating until like I don't know, like we've been probably like 2-3 years in.
So you
like,
have like a timeline and stuff.
yeah, like
Okay.
not like an exact timeline, but like I would definitely do like a soft launch and then a hard launch and then like
Can I tell you that the terms that we're coming up with now is my favorite
Yeah.
because it's like, it's great that we're like having words
Yeah.
for everything, but at the same time, like soft launches, hard launches.
He's like, first
Yeah.
you'll make the story, then you'll be a post.
So like I'm not even like super intense on it on like social media, but I just mean in general like communicating that
Yeah.
information out no matter
Yeah.
what like funnel you want to put it through. For me it's definitely like a process just because like I think it's difficult like once you've like said okay like this is my person, like everyone like buy into this, right?
Yeah.
And then you get everyone's buy-in and you guys break up like a week later, it's like damn I just had to tell like my mom,
Yeah.
now I have to rehab this conversation
Yeah.
all over again. It becomes so draining and it's like damn if I like told everyone every single time I went on a somewhat okay date, like
Yeah.
everyone would be so sick of me. Like
Yeah.
they would be like, I don't want to fucking hear from this guy ever again. Like he needs to shut up. Like is what they would say. So yeah, I keep it super private personally. That's like my like thought process behind that.
Well, how do you feel about like people that are like, and in no form of judgment, just like, how do you feel about people that like post anything and everything and everybody?
I think like get a fucking diary. Like those exist. Like some of y'all post way too much shit on the internet. Like y'all need to know it is okay to not fucking talk sometimes. Like that's just my take. Like sometimes like I saw this TikTok the other day and it was this like really niche experience and I was like damn like you let this one out of the drafts, but like it was just like one of those like it's a photo of them and there's like a long text in front of it. It was literally describing an entire entire bathhouse orgy scenario, and they were like, anyone else relate? And I'm like, no, we fucking don't. Like, and this should have stayed in the drafts. Like, so yeah. I actually will provide judgment. I am judging y'all bitches that do that shit. I
love how I'm like combating everything that he's about. I'm like, well, we're not gonna be mean. We're not gonna. And he's like, no, bitch.
I think we should bully some things. Like sometimes bullying is okay. We need to get back to bullying some things. And
my god,
that's just my tea. So.
That's so fucking funny. I feel that I'm deeply traumatized by bullying, and so I'm like.
I think there's ethical bullying. Like when people are doing like really bad stuff, you're like, hey, like that's lame.
Yeah.
Like don't do that. You're spreading like a really bad message. Like you know that sort of thing.
That's necessary.
Like I feel like sometimes on TikTok it can be a little bit exaggerated. Like when they're.
I think anything online is there's like a very few percentage of people that posting authentically,
and
then there's
the
like
dark humor.
huge like.
Oh, I love dark humor. I do.
I get
but these
it.
people are actually serious.
But they're
like,
that's
they're just,
the thing when
they're
it's
letting
like
it out of the drafts, and I'm just like,
and
okay.
so many people can relate, which for me is kind of like, oh shit. Like that's great. Like it would be like, oh my god, when you get home and your husband doesn't want to beat you today, and it's like, hey, I got a good day.
Oh my gosh!
And it's like, do you get what I mean?
But why are the hashtags like hashtag like relatable, like hashtag housewife, like
hashtag
like,
funny,
let's not
hashtag dark
romanticize
humor.
this. Like let's not romanticize.
That's what I'm
this.
saying.
Like,
They start to make it seem like a good thing to talk about.
That's what
Can
I'm
I devil's advocate this? Is
Right.
that they're not putting it out there as in like they're romanticizing it, but that in a different way, that's how they know to make their experience relatable, and they're just reaching out for anyone who has the same experience.
Yeah.
And like most things, when it hits you wrong, it hits you wrong. You know, when it doesn't apply to you, it
sometimes
doesn't.
for me,
But
it just
but I
is
feel
like,
that
oh my
like
god, that hurts so bad. I can only imagine. And then it's like they really went through it, and then so many people can relate to it.
Yeah.
no,
And
but that's exactly why they put it out in the first place. Whether it's a weird experience to talk about or not.
Yeah.
But that's, remember last week when I say that I try to leave everything on social media in the best, like whatever, that's just what personally makes me feel better, is that like, if I can see the light for somebody, I'm gonna use it. Like if I can see your point in something, I'm gonna use it. So like, if you post your ass 24/7 and nothing but your ass, it doesn't do anything for me. And do I like it? No, not really, because what does it, like, it's not even hot anymore after 47 posts. Like, you know what I'm saying?
My rule to that is like do whatever you want as long as it's not harmful.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
My issue is when people go online, they spread really harmful messages.
Yes, no, that's a different.
That's why I'm like, maybe we should be commenting saying, hey, like let's not talk about this, like or let's get you the help you need to like really like get this information.
I wonder if
better.
there's like an online space where pedophiles are like relating to each other, or like something along that line. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Probably on Reddit, like if you go in the dark sections
my
of
God.
Reddit, there's probably something in there. Honestly,
Reddit for sure.
That's where I'm like, we really do need to moderate what we say on the internet, because I think like a lot of times people underestimate the impact that like community and like easily transferable information
I get
can be
scared
so
about
obsessed.
kids being online just because
Oh my
of that.
God.
The way that kids are like exposed now, and the way that they're just like there's nothing but exposure. There's literally, when I was in 6th grade. When I was in 6th grade, that was the first time I'd ever seen porn, and I had to go to the public library, look up RedTube. Yeah, bitch. In my time, there was no like I didn't have an iPad at my. Yeah, bitch. I was in 6th grade on the public library.
I know that history on that computer went crazy.
Yeah, bitch.
The history of that computer went crazy.
But that's what I'm saying, is that like I needed to actually make the effort to go and find it and whatever. Bro, you're setting iPads in front of kids while they're eating.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And they're like 4 years old, knowing how to operate an iPad better than I can. And I'm not even exaggerating that. They really can. I don't know shit about shit. Okay? But like the exposure and like the younger generation think that it's normal to document everything, to post up everything, to take everything and whatever. And I feel like the biggest difference between the older generation and us, and why they talk about us the way that they do, is because there needs to be a balance of their values and our values. There can't just be a full onto the other spectrum kind of shit.
Yeah.
There needs to be a balance, but they don't express as much compassion and sympathy to us, which is what
Like
we're used
we
to and
do.
what we're trying to do to them.
Yeah.
So there's just like, generational differences and all of that shit. But like I get so scared about kids just seeing things, saying things like imagine the shit that we see
Yeah.
and we're adults
Right.
knowing how to filter.
Right.
Imagine them just having the fucking entire
You know,
internet.
I remember.
They're just seeing a post on TikTok that's just like popping on their For You page. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's like nothing
Dude, a
regulating
7-year-old probably knows fully how sex work by now. A 7-year-old. And I'm not even exaggerating this. Like, I'm not, because that's what they see. They have the, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and I don't give a fuck what your fucking argument about is you fucking monitoring and whatever the fuck. If I slipped through the cracks and I found the shit that I
Right.
found,
If she went to the public library
and found the shit that I found, bitch, imagine your kid just being at home
Yeah.
in his room on the internet. Like, you know what I'm saying?
And I get really concerned with just also like queer children like growing up, because I think like queer people are also like hypersexualized,
Yes.
like entirely, and I think like a lot of like queerness like comes from like freedom of expression. So there are healthy themes to that, but
and then there are very extremely unhealthy.
correct, and I
sides.
think even in today's day, I think even just as a society, like sexuality aside, I think we are very hypersexual with ourselves in comparison to older generations. Again, like there's an amazing side of it where like feel liberated, and that's amazing, and I'm super pro all that. But then there's also a side of it is like, okay, like at what point are we gonna just be a little bit more like aware and intentional about where these problem things stem from, and how do we like actually like take responsibility for that? You know what I mean?
I have so many times where I literally flashback and I'm like, that's why I'm traumatized from this. Like whenever I smell oil frying or anything like that, like there will just be like an instant like trigger for me. And it's not like a bad trigger, it's a good trigger, but it's just like moments like that where I'm like, oh shit, like where it just like the dots connect. It's fucking crazy.
That's literally like growing up and like learning ourselves.
And being yourself, and you're like,
you're just like learning. You're constantly
It's the
learning.
best.
But what is your train of thoughts on like keeping things on social media, how you post, like all of that shit? Like, what's your
relationship wise, I always do it very quickly.
which is fine.
Which is fine, yeah. I just feel like
Literally every grown relationship.
the thing is,
ever.
I'm an Aries, and
Day
I
two,
don't want to
moved
keep
in.
saying, yeah, no,
Day two,
literally,
moved in.
stop.
How are we doing? I honestly like love that for lesbians.
Yeah,
Like, they're my favorite.
Okay, but lesbian relationships also last more than anybody on
Yeah.
Oh,
earth.
absolutely.
Because they're just besties.
I wish I was lesbian like every day. Like lesbians are always having a great time. They like talk about each
And
other's feelings.
They're there,
yeah.
My best friend,
Yeah.
when we were younger, my best friend like converted into a lesbian,
Yeah.
and then like one time they were like telling me like it's literally like dating your best friend, like your girly
Right.
best friend, and I was
Yes.
like, I want a
And the
girly
thing
best
is,
friend.
Right, right.
At least for me, I'm just so hopeless romantic, and I'm like, oh, this is it. Like,
She's the
there's
one.
no way.
No, but there's nothing wrong with that. I
No,
think people need to
100%.
stop thinking about how
I'm
they're
not saying
being
there's
perceived
anything-
and project the way they're perceiving things onto their actions.
Yeah.
But again, like there's nothing wrong with that. And I know you weren't
Yeah.
saying that, but like if that's what you do, fucking say that's what you do.
Yeah,
There's
so
no like,
that's-
so I post, like no.
Yeah.
So you fucking post
So
the
I-
minute you were in love.
Yeah,
Like,
the minute that I'm like, ooh, do you love me back? You mean it? Kiss me in the mouth right here on camera. I don't know, it's just such a lesbian thing of it. But once again, I love really hard, and I do it, yeah. I'm a social media
How do
bitch.
you like not get burned though from that? Like for me, I'm a romantic. It's
It
like,
hurts because then I'll get like things that are like a year ago on my Snapchat, and I'll be like,
oh
no, but honestly, I don't know. I feel like I try to drop those expectations.
Mhm.
I have so many things that I'm like, you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to do that, this, and that. And it's just
no.
dropping
No, but that's
the
another weird.
expectation.
That's why I think about the posting thing, right? Because it's not just posting. You have this weird expectation for the other person to show their love through what they do on social
Yeah.
media, and I think that's the weirdest shit,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
anytime any couple is like, I love you, I love you, I love you on social media, they're secretly broken up, like, and have been for 3 months.
It does give weirdo vibes.
You know what I'm saying? Because you're like, extra about it, and so like
I feel like social media in general is kind of fake.
But then like why? But then like there's this thing, right, where you base how the other person or how many times and how often the other person is using your story to if they like you or not. You base how much they post you and whatever to how proud they are of you. How that you base all of their online actions and you take that and you translate that into their love. And I think that's fucked up because like then you're literally doing everything for social media and like you know what I'm saying, like it's a weird like I don't know, I experience it myself too, and which is why I do feel icky and bothered about it and whatever, but I hear so many different people from all ages talk about like he likes me because he watches my story, or
maybe I've been looking at his Snapchat score for the entire day because he's left it undelivered, and I've seen his Snapchat score go up by 40, and I'm also looking at his Snapchat location to see where he's at.
exactly. So now you're basing, and then you're like monetizing all of their online actions, and then you're taking things personally without even in that person, in that conversation.
Like, for me, I'm more of like your actions will show it, your actions will show it. So I was never like, you have to post me, or you don't, if you don't post me, like that's just kind of funny and weird. I was never like that. Were you guys like that?
Not really, because I don't know, like
I feel like I didn't need that type of validation. Only because when we were in real life, it was like
I think it's less so like of like posting and like wanting to be seen on someone's page. I think that concept's like I want to say outdated a little bit. I don't see people do that as much nowadays. I think back in the day that was more common.
Mm-hmm. No, but speaking of soft launches and hard launches, like that's they still do that.
That's like the modern day version.
Yeah,
of it.
exactly.
Yeah.
But what we're talking about is what you're using social media for. To watch the other person. You're watching what they do on Instagram. You're watching them watching people's story. You're watching their Snapchat score go up and then taking it personal because they haven't Snapchatted you, but you know that they're Snapchatting someone else because you're watching their score. Like all of that shit that like we're using social media as like cues of how much we know people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's fucking weird because social media is what you curate it to be.
Yeah.
Like what you're seeing, what that person wants to show you. You think people are gonna show you everything? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But like there are a lot of people that like take like, bro, I will sit here and be like so fucking like he watches all my stories, and then I'm with him and he's literally just next,
I know.
next, and then I'm like, oh, so did he even watch my story? You know what I'm saying? But like it's crazy to base like that one little action on and then being like.
I know.
Right, literally.
I know we're being cutie and healthy right now, but can we be a little toxic for a second?
Oh, always.
I have a question. So a lot of my friends are just like have been going through things and stuff like that, but the only way that they've been finding out is by going through their partner's phone. Have you ever felt the urge, or would you ever go through your partner's phone? Like, would that be like, I need to do this. Something's calling me.
No, I think that's.
Do we have another podcast episode for this topic?
Yeah.
We have so many. But fucking, I think that speaks on personal traumas.
Yeah.
Of what you went through previously and what this person is making you feel. And then there's also I haven't let go of my past experiences, and even though this person isn't giving me anything, I still have to do it because it's just in me that this is one of my insecurities. And so like I think that varies for everyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't.
I think people put you in that position, right? And so I think like a lot of times, like another question I ask myself is, what kind of position is this person putting me in? I think we should all be more reflective of that, because if you're in a bad situation because of somebody, maybe you shouldn't be with that person, right? You need to question that person's moral compass and ability to make you feel uncomfortable. If someone is super comfortable with making me uncomfortable, they're probably not a good person, and they probably shouldn't be in my life. So I've experienced that where I've been...
Such a good answer. Sorry, go ahead.
You think? Okay,
yeah, I love.
Perfect, I love it.
I love.
But yeah, but I mean, I've been in that experience before, and I've done it before. Like I'm guilty of it. But then when I took time to like do digging, I was like, that was never naturally me. Like I'm not a jealous. I'm probably the least jealous person ever. Like I just don't feel it, because jealousy is typically for when you feel like you can't get something. And I'm the type of person that like if I want something, I'll work hard enough and I'll get it, right? Or I'll manifest it, whatever it might be. But it stemmed from that person. I had trust issues with that person, and that person made it a point to instill trust issues in me,
Same.
and never wanted to fix that. They were comfortable with me being uncomfortable, and because I was in such a constant state of discomfort, that made me change my natural behaviors in order to respond. Like it's sort of like stimuli sort of situation, like you know, in being the receptor, like. The stimuli was presented to me of being toxic, and so I responded toxic.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's only natural for people. And I think a lot of times people beat themselves up because they're like, oh my God, I feel so bad. And I'm like, well, did they put you in a position to where you feel like that's what you had to do? Like, probable cause. Like, if you were a cheater, of course, I'm going to be weird about your phone because you've given me that behavior. Like,
but also, you should just trust your fucking instinct.
Yeah.
I was in the longest relationship that I had been in is like 4 or 5 years, and it was with my high school sweetheart, and he had cheated on me and all of these other different things, and that was the last time in a relationship where I was like constantly digging and looking for things, constantly going through his house, his phone, his computer,
his house,
everything, every fucking thing, bro. And I would always,
but
it was like it was.
No, but let her cook.
But like you have to like even acknowledge that like did he even do anything to me that day? No, I just happened to be in his house and have access to his things.
Right.
And like. Did I have to do any of that? No. If it was anybody else, would I have done it? No. But it's because I have a history of...
He taught you how to behave that way.
Exactly. And so I was pure... But like, in my next serious relationship after that, which was my ex-fiance, I experienced like zero.
Because it was probably healthy, right?
Yeah,
that's like the determining
I had
factor.
never worried about another girl. His ex would literally be in the same house as him because he lived with his best friend, and his ex still hung out with his best friend. And that I would literally just go to sleep and know that he's literally spending the night with his ex in his house, and I didn't give a fuck because I didn't have that kind of trust issue with that person. And then that's why I think that everything is like situational and everything is like trauma based, but like within yourself. Like
just a little question.
But I think that it's okay if that's who you are. I don't think that it's like the worst thing in the world as long as you know, like, hey, this is one of my insecurity and maybe I just need to like work it out within myself. But I'm just telling you that this is how I am. I snoop through your phone and I need to find out. And like, I don't think that there's no shame about anything as long as you're okay with it yourself.
Right.
Like, and like, I just want people to like stand firm on that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes.
Alrighty, girls. Brought to you by
Quit That Shit.
Quit That Shit.
So, yay! I really love that we do this little segment. And I love that you guys like interact with us whenever we put out a Quit That Shit video. So please continue to tell us what you're quitting. Let's be in the same boat. Let's fucking be friends.
Okay.
But
Okay.
God damn it! Alright. So, Quit That Shit is a segment on our podcast where we end with just expressing what we're trying to let go of that's no longer serving us, and then we hold each other accountable by saying it out loud.
Yes, sir.
So, so, Jules, since you have the Quit That Shit mic.
Okay, besties. I literally noticed that I've been drinking maybe 3-4 cups of coffee a day. So, I'm trying to just slow down on
3-4 a day?
Yeah, because I work at a place where I have an espresso machine now. So just caffeine. I just need to, I don't sleep. Like literally, I sleep and I wake up every few hours. So caffeine. So yeah.
Quit it. Quit it.
Quit that shit.
Quit it. Quit it.
Thank you, next.
Thank you. Next. Okay. What am I quitting? I'm quitting things that suck.
Ooh,
That's
period.
it.
Just like that.
If it sucks and it's bad and it's just not a good time, I'm done with it. So,
Yeah.
If it's not a fuck yes, it's a no.
Yeah.
period. Exactly. End of story. That's what I'm quitting.
Love
Yes, we
Quit
love
that
it. Quit that shit, baby.
I like that deep voice. Little like.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's my main voice.
I feel like we all have man voices.
Yeah, we do.
This is a daddy podcast.
Period.
Exactly.
Master-
Welcome back to
master
Daddy
mass.
Podcast.
Master
Exactly.
podcast.
For sure.
I think that I need to quit not massaging my body and getting my body massaged because like I'm not a bitch. I am a knotted bitch, okay? And like dude, my back is just, remember how Jules was like, I don't stretch. Well, I halfway stretch. And I don't like roll and stuff as much as I should. And like, I don't even get massages as much as I should. Dude, with like the amount of working out that I do, I should be getting weekly massages. You know what I'm saying? But like now I just go to work and my neck is like, so I need to quit that shit. I need to like just take better care of my like physical body. Like, you know?
Get rolled out, bitch.
Yeah,
Exactly. I will literally like pay people with good hands just to you know, like give me the service. I don't want nothing else, just a service.
Exactly.
But like I need to like work that out. I like feel everything within
Your
my body.
neck looks fucking ginormous.
My traps, you mean?
Like yeah, like
I'm starting to have like a little insecurity about it again, but I'm working out. I'm working it out within myself. I'm like, look at all these other hot bitches with big traps. Like, you're fine. So crying.
I was just gonna say that.
No, but yeah, I think that I feel like a lot of my quit that shit is like mental processes or like habits and stuff. And like this week, Shawty, it's a physical one. We need to roll her out.
Yeah.
We need to like if I could just like if a car could just be like over me like a speed bump.
That would be so funny.
But everybody, we need to cut this because our good girl has died on us. And we haven't recorded in a while, so this was just like a really exciting little reunion. This was a really, really good chat with Jared, and we love having you here.
Thanks.
And we're so grateful.
I'm so happy. It was a great time.
Did you enjoy it?
Oh yeah, it was super fun.
Love it.
I
Love it.
yeah.
Yay! We hope that you really enjoyed this conversation. We hope that you like related to the things that we talk about. And if anytime you have any kind of thoughts, any kind of things that you want to share with us, you can always DM us and email us. We made an email even though we never check it, and I don't even know the password to.
I know the password too.
Again, Jules will get all your needs, okay? Jules is the person of the people. I am the background.
We love you guys and thank you so much for always just reaching out and always reposting us whenever we do post, and we love you and we will see you next time.
Yes, and you can find us on social media. Our Facebook is Mental Chillness Podcast. Our Instagram is mentalchillness.podcast. Our TikTok is Mental Chillness 11. Our YouTube is Mental Chillness. I am Mega Khan.
I am lots of Jules.
And I'm Jared.
Jerry with a Y.
Jared with a Y. There you have it.
We will leave it in the app below.
Bye, bestie.